get hot, but we will, being such cool people, not have a problem with that. Well, it's all relative, that's right. Well, we're grateful today for lots of reasons, and one of them is that we have a couple of special people in the house, and one of them I'll introduce to you in a moment. And Bajan, who's always a special person. And becoming a regular, so yes, love that. And of course, Brother David is here, and he's always special too. And our guest, who's going to be leading us in a beautiful meditation today, who's so gifted in that area, is Gail Darren, who's going to be here today. So, but now we're going to sing, yes? Wasn't there a time in your life you thought you had to kind of do it all by yourself? Was it?
It was just always love.
Oh no, that's right. That came later in your life. That's right. It always begins with love, doesn't it? Okay, I just gotta remember that. Words are up here in the bulletin.
In this moment, in this place, I remember who I am. Letting fear and worry fall away from me. I open my eyes and see there is only love. There is only love. Love that heals and sets us free. There is only love. When I lose myself, when it seems I lost my way, when I go inside and quiet my mind, I can hear the Spirit gently say, there is only love. There is only love. Love that heals, love that sets us free. There is only love. Sing it loud. There is only love. There is only love. Love that heals, love that sets us free. There is
Such a good reminder. And good morning to you, love.
Good morning. I'm back.
You are.
Yes.
See, you get applause.
I like that. I'm going to go away again next 2 weeks.
Just for that reason.
Yeah, that's right. So please, silence your cell phones. Make sure that they're turned on to off or at least vibrate so no one can interrupt you this morning. And stand up and say hello to your neighbor. Give a dance, a hug, a handshake.
gave up already. Yeah. Now there's a time in our life when we felt we had to do it all by ourselves.
There was a time in my life I thought I had to do it all for myself. I didn't know the grace of God was sufficient, and I didn't know that the love of God was at hand. But now I can say, if you are discouraged, struggling just to make it through another day, you gotta let it go. You gotta let it go. Now you know this part, come on. Now this is what you have to say. I release and I let go. I let the Spirit run my life, and my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only here for God. No more struggle, no more strife. With my faith I see the light. I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God. I release and I let go. I let the Spirit run my life, and my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only here for God. No more struggle, no more strife. With my faith I see the light. I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God. I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God. One more time. I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God.
We wanted to start our service today. We are blessed. We are blessed.
Wow. I think that was splendid.
That's
Splendid, that's our word of the day.
great. Splendid, is it?
Splendid, yes.
Let's be proper when we say splendid. shall
Yes,
we?
we are splendid.
Hey, we got announcements.
Yes, we do. Oh, I already told them to silence their cell phones.
Turn-
Did
okay,
you?
You just go on?
Yeah.
I did.
Okay,
yes.
good.
But I haven't silenced my microphone. Maybe I'll do that.
There's no need for that yet.
Okay, well, we want to let you know, we've been doing this wonderful design process for our mission and our values, and we're really working towards finding ways to make this community more welcoming, more, that will fit people who are like us. You know, there's a few of us in the world who would find this to be a beautiful spiritual home. And so we're wanting to design a way of reaching people in a very proselytizing way. We don't do that, but we want to become the community that would draw people authentically. So if you have some thoughts around that, some energy around that, some ideas around that, or you would just like to participate in the process around that, next Sunday after service, right, Sue?
Yep.
We will have a meeting. It'll be at our conference room at our office building, and it's going to be what time?
12:30?
12:30, about 90 minutes. And it's a chance for us to really extend the joy that we have here on Sunday.
Great. Actually, one of those ideas is the conscious connection circles.
That's right.
And this sounds really cool. So this is a new way to connect and deepen your spiritual understanding. And what we want you to do, if you're interested, is add your name to the list next door so we
Yes.
can start to gather names and get details going.
Yes, and you'll hear about that more, probably beginning next Sunday, because we'll begin these circles gathering in the middle of August. So we'll let you know what it's going to look like and how we can organize it around maybe geographical places where people live, just to make it, to facilitate it. But it's essentially going to be a 4-week commitment over 2 months, so every other week. And we're going to gather and discuss the week's sermon. So, sometimes you go out and you think, gosh, I wish I could reflect more on that. This will be an opportunity for you to do that, apply it to your own life in conversation and dialogue and in support of other people going through that as well. So we think it's a beautiful divine idea. It's not my idea. It's Colleen Picolo's idea, and we want to run with it. We think it will really meet a lot of people where they would like to be within their spiritual growth. So.
It's a good idea. I try to talk about it all week, but sometimes I choose people who don't talk back to me. So in this case, they would. They go, yeah, sure.
Exactly.
Oh, good.
Yes.
It's your turn.
Yes. So Unity Center of Davis is looking for a part-time music director. After 5 years, we feel it's time to finally have a person in place who does this job in a more professional way than I've been doing it, because I've been pretty much in charge of arranging for the music and dealing with the soloists and picking the music and all of that. And David's been doing a wonderful job in support of our accompaniment. Now we need someone to kind of oversee the whole thing. So we have a very detailed job description that's on our welcome table. We're primarily looking for someone with very strong vocal skills and strong leadership skills to step into that position. It is a paid position, so it'd be a nice part-time job for somebody who has that ability. So spread the word, anyone that you might know that would fit that, grab a job description and pass it on.
Great. Okay. The Men's Fellowship is getting ready to meet on the second Saturday.
Yes.
Which is Saturday.
It's coming up.
Yeah. Of each month from 9:30 to 11:30 on the second floor of the UCOD offices in the conference room, south. And that's underlined and bolded, south.
Yes.
You're in north?
You would be with the women if you went to the
Oh, okay, so south.
Which would be okay, but it's not the intention of the men's group.
Not this week. All right.
Not this meeting. That's a different meeting. We don't support that.
So the next meeting, maybe you could turn on her microphone now.
Oh, no.
Okay. The next meeting is July 14th, and the topic is forgiveness, the gift that keeps on giving.
Yeah,
it is a good, actually, Jody, in our house we have this, we call it, the speeding ticket is the gift that keeps on giving. We've talked to our son about it.
Oh.
So forgiveness might be what we would have to offer after.
Forgiveness.
He hasn't got one yet, I don't want to, we're just warning him up.
Right. Slow down.
Too much information.
Next week we'll learn about the mute button. Anyway, Women in Spirit, not to be outdone by the men, will be meeting also next Saturday at the UCOD conference.
North.
Thank you very much. Anita, they will be continuing to review Anita Murjani's book, Dying to Be Me, and discuss what she means about living fearlessly. So bring a snack, your wonderful, magnificent selves. That's
Nice.
Yeah.
That paragraph's a little nicer. We gotta work on this paragraph.
And we do have chaplains in service as always, so if our chaplains who are in service today would please stand. These are the wonderful beings that would love to support you after the service with prayer, holding sacred space with you, whatever your need may be today, even if it's celebration. See a chaplain, it's a wonderful experience. And we have our chaplain table over there, a chance for you to put in a prayer request and to meet a chaplain as well. So now we're going to have a beautiful chant by Bajan. You can sing along, and then Gail will come up and do our meditation.
Pour yourself
ourselves with this time of reflective prayer and meditation by turning within. Just allow yourself to be aware of your breath, to hold back nothing in every breath is a spiritual practice. So if there's any hesitancy, just allow your breath to deepen. And as you notice every tension falling away with every exhale, notice as your heart opens, the hearts of those around you also open. Until our heart becomes an inlet, it cannot be free. So let us open our heart to receive. Imagine a great spiritual being standing in front of you. It could be Jesus. It could be another great spiritual teacher. And through these loving eyes, feel the infinite, boundless love being poured into you. And be willing with each breath to receive this love. And allow this healing to move through every part of your being. And now imagine that this being changes its face to be your face, loving you, allowing the beloved to see through your eyes into you. Silently saying, I know who you are. I see you. And now see this form now changing to someone you love. And through their eyes, infinite love. Infinite love carries into your heart from theirs. And now this image changes to a beloved pet or animal who offers their whole being to you as an offering. You are so loved. And now this form changes to a tree. Even the rocks are singing silent arias of love to you. And now this form changes to the wind. And as you feel into this with your whole being, feel love, pouring love into love. The many faces and disguises of God in all form. And with your next breath, feel the preciousness, the uniqueness, the newness of each moment. Where you get to be beloved, where you get to witness the beloved in everything. And if any of you are holding any suffering, if any of you know anyone who is suffering, let your heart be broken open. For anything you may be holding, hold it like a mother would a child who is hurting. Even your uncertainties and imperfections. Love is moving through all of it. This love cannot be won or lost. It is who you are. And this great love is waiting to be absorbed into us all. And so allow yourself now to be palpably held in the silence where your being gets to experience this infinite love in you and all around you in the silence. And until our heart becomes an outlet, it cannot be free. Extend your love to everyone in this room. For truly we belong to each other. May all beings be happy. May all beings know their divine essence as love itself. And in that realization, may all beings be free. Thank you, Father, Mother, God, and so it is, for it cannot be otherwise. In your name, and your nature, love itself.
We all wanna make our place in this world. We all want our voices to be heard. Everyone wants a chance to meet someone. We all have dreams we need to dream, but sweeter than any star you can reach is when you reach and find you found someone. You hold this world's most priceless thing, your greatest gift this life can bring. If you can look back and know you were loved, you were loved by someone, touched by someone, held by someone, meant something to someone, loved somebody, touched somebody's heart along the way. You can look back and say, hey, you were loved. You can have diamonds in your hand, have all the riches in the land. Without love, would you really have a thing? When someone cares that you're alive, when someone finds their world in eyes, then you know you found all you need. You hold this world's most priceless prize, the sweetest treasure in this life. If you can look back and know you were loved, you were loved by someone, held by someone, touched by someone, meant something to someone, loved somebody, touched somebody's heart along the way. You can look back and say, hey, you were loved. So many roads that you can take, but remember where you go. Don't take that road alone, better you should know. You were loved by someone, touched by someone, held by someone, meant something to someone, love somebody, touch somebody's heart along the way. You can look back and say, you were loved, you were loved. Remember to tell that one you were
That's no small feat for David on the keys there either. Percussion track. So, I feel pretty complete. Should we just quit now and go ahead? What else could we add to this experience? And I was sitting there thinking how much I just love this whole thing, this whole gestalt that create here on Sunday. I mean, when Bajan opened up with that, I release and I let go, I love the passion, I love the power, I love the, you know, almost the intensity of that sort of spiritual juice that comes from us when we're really wanting to claim the truth, you know. Sometimes the whisper is not enough. And then the whisper, the beautiful meditation by Gail, when just really going deep, 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 deep and quiet and knowing. I mean, that whole range of spiritual expression and experience is what I love about this service. And I love looking out here on Sunday and seeing your faces, seeing how you're reacting, how you're expressing joy, and how you can feel free to express joy and love and laughter in a church service. I mean, for some people, that's kind of a new concept, right? Just to kind of let it all go and just be who you are. So I was just appreciating, what do I love this morning? I love being where I am, where I get to witness this and be a part of it. And I know that you are as well. So we're talking about love today. Let me just back up just for a moment and let you know how we got here. We're starting a series called Living Our Values. And as a community, we have declared 5 values for ourselves as a community that we feel are anchors. They're non-negotiables as to who and what we are, what we believe, and what we want to live from. That's what a value is. It's something that we would hold as an ideal and seek to live out of that in a very authentic way and in a committed way. Not that we would necessarily completely express that value. Let's be clear about that. We're not talking about, you know, failing on every attempt, because we are the human beings trying to understand this in this human incarnation, those perfections that we talk about as our values. So we want to understand these values so that we can have a way of seeing how we can live out of them. And last week we talked about spiritual growth, which is a huge container for all that we do here, but it's that notion of knowing who we really are, you know, beyond the physical form, that we are in essence spiritual beings. And to live out of that truth makes all kinds of a difference in our life, and it expands the possibilities for the enjoyment of life when we know we are much more than what seems to limit us. So this week, we're going to talk about love, and let me read the statement that goes with that core value, which we have declared. I do declare, and so do you, that as the essence of our divine nature, we seek to know love's presence and express it in relationship with all sentient beings and with all of life. So I'll just read it again. As the essence of our divine nature, we seek to know love's presence and express it in relationship with all sentient beings and with all of life. And Gail, you did a great job of addressing all of that in your meditation, as we understand that love is not just something that we necessarily reserve for a significant other or even for a human being or human beings, but love is being a part of who we are, and the essence of who we are being connected with all of life. Then that love that is our essence must flow to all of life too. And quite simply, you know, we wouldn't need to have a whole ecological awareness if we really understood love and freely and unconditionally shared it with all of life, right? Then all of those things that would be considered positive for the planet, that would be life-affirming, would come out of a love that is expressed naturally through how we see life. We see our connection with life, and out of that love for the life that we're connected with, we would just act accordingly. So much of what we have legislated and decided that we have to have as rules for our behavior really could be obviated by our understanding our true nature, yes? So this is actually the accelerated course in freeing us to be a society and a nation and a world that works for everyone. If we go to these deep spiritual values and live out of them, then so much of this stuff just happens automatically and naturally and authentically. If we don't feel like we're going against our nature, we realize that we are in alignment with it, we are in conformance with it, and we are in agreement with it. And there's no conflict in us over it. Okay, that's all I have to say. I had no intention of saying any of that, but you know how God works in us. So hopefully that was useful, but I was thinking sort of about that as we were thinking about sharing love with all of life. So, okay, let's get right down to it. I could talk for 6 weeks about love and all the iterations and the ramifications and how it all, the way we can have more love, give more love, receive more love, deal with relationships. I think I got to cut to the chase, right? Because we got one Sunday to do this. Then we're done with love for the rest of the year. So hopefully this will be comprehensive. As I was thinking about it this week, I thought, there's this all this sort of heady stuff around love. There's romantic love and the poet's idea of love, and it sort of takes you into this really beautiful place. But really, isn't it where the rubber meets the road of our life, when we're face to face and heart to heart with other people, that the love thing really becomes challenging, right? To feel loved in the midst of the interpersonal relationship, I think, is the advanced class for learning the lessons of love. So we're going to talk about that. But before we get to that, let's just ask a question, shall we?
Yes.
Denise was teaching me last week, you don't go on until they answer you. So I'm going to learn that from her, because I just go on because I'm afraid you're not going to. You're going to say no, and I don't know what to do. So the question is, if love is the essence of our divine nature, if that's true, then why don't we experience it? Why don't we experience it? Why? I mean, if that's who and what we are, like Oprah said, love is what you be. If that's our being, well, why would that be so difficult? Wouldn't that be just the most natural thing to arise and that we would be able to hold as an experience on an ongoing basis? I mean, that makes sense to the logical mind, right? Well, it makes sense from a spiritual ideal perspective. But then you and I are more than just spiritual beings, or we're less than spiritual beings in the sense that we also have another identity. And that other identity is as a human being, yes? So in the human experience is where we have difficulty with this love. And I was reading something by a psychologist, author, John Elwood, and he says this, I think, very well. He wrote a couple of books. I like it. Perfect Love, Imperfect Relationships, and also Healing the Wound of the Heart. And what he says here, he says, all these things, we all talk about these wounds that we have, and the wounds, by the way, are those experiences that we've had in our life that essentially get in the way of us having a love experience, okay? That's the general category. He says that all psychological wounds are really one wound. Now, this is simplistic, but he says that the one wound is the one wound around love. That is the one major wound. And that being wounded means being disconnected from love. We were disconnected from love at a time in our life in which we were essentially wide open. We were innocent and wide open. There was no guile in us. There was no defensiveness in us. There was no need to protect ourselves. We were really vulnerable. We were there in that very beautiful place that you see in the China baby. And, of course, we were not raised by Mary and Joseph or whoever you would consider to be the parents without wounds, right? We all have parents and they have their wounds. I mean, it's only fair, we pass these wounds on from generation to generation, so they have theirs. And because they have their wounds, or your caregivers, or whoever raised you, they're cut off from the heart. You're cut off from the heart if you have it. And you're cut off from what? Your true nature, essence, yes. If you're cut off from the heart, you're cut off from your true nature. And that is what comes with this wounding experience, which explains why we don't experience love all the time. And they're cut off from their capacity to be in a full conscious relationship with other beings. So the wound, because our parents were cut off from all of that, we couldn't be fully loved. All right? I know I'm not going through this so that you can relive your childhood. We're doing it just so we understand that we all come by this honestly. We all have a sort of collective, larger story to explain why we are where we are and why love seems to be such a tenuous experience for us to have and to hold. We couldn't be fully loved, and we couldn't be fully seen. We couldn't be recognized and known in a fully loving way. See, to love someone is really to see them, is to really see them, to recognize them, to know them as they really are. And if I have my filters in place, then I can't see you as you really are. I can't know you, I can't recognize you. And so it's important to understand that nobody was doing it to us. Everyone does the best they can, given the filters, given the wounds, given what they've experienced in their life. And then out of that comes whatever, modicum of love or caring or compassion or recognition of your nature that is possible. So that's that's how we got there. So what happens for the child, because the child doesn't have any psychological or emotional maturity at that point to be able to process these experiences of not being recognized, not being unconditionally loved. It can't understand it like now you can understand everything that I'm saying to you, right? But a child doesn't. So what the child does is what? Shuts down. Shuts down as a protective mechanism, right? If this is not comfortable and it's definitely in violation of your true nature and your essence, you need to protect yourself. So the way you protect yourself as a child is you shut down. So that becomes our wound. That becomes our original wounding. So all of that is to say that we understand that we have this human condition that's sort of working against, and I'm going to say that in quotes, working against the realization of the love essence of our very own being. We all have that. We all have those reasons. But the good news, which don't worry, I'm getting there. Don't leave yet. Great. They were wounded, I'm wounded, and I shut down, and now where are you going to go? Okay, next week come back for the good news. I wouldn't do that to you. Some ministers would, though. That's just to get you to come back. But anyway, I know you'll come back. So here's the thing. This is really the good news. And this might explain something else that you noticed in your consciousness and your psyche, is that having not received that unconditional love, there's always something sort of missing in us, right? It's just like a little divine discontent that, it's your nature is there, but you're not experiencing it, but it's still a part of your cellular or your spiritual DNA that is reminding you of it, and you're wanting to get back to it. So that then becomes what was missing, or the wound can become the impetus for us to find it. And that then can propel our spiritual life. Do you see what I'm saying? The very fact that that is not there becomes an intense motivator for us to seek, for us to search. And as children who perhaps had a difficult environment to live in, we all have our stories around that, not going into them, but those of us who had difficult environments to live in became more familiar with the interior life. We had to live more inside because it wasn't safe necessarily to express outside or to be outside, but we could have any experience we wanted inside. Which is a perfect setup also for what? Spiritual life. Yes? So what I'm saying, I'm not just putting a candy coating on this notion of wounding. I'm saying that there is nothing that can prevent us from growing spiritually and from realizing this love. No matter what has happened to us in life, because of the fact that who and what we truly, truly are is this love itself. That there is nobody and no thing that can prevent us from experiencing that love in its wholeness, in its fullness, except the decisions that you and I make. And that then becomes our part of the spiritual journey. It's never been anything less, although it's been said in a lot of different ways. It's never been anything less than how willing am I to do this work? How willing am I to make conscious contact with that part of myself, which is the love that I want more than anything else. Because that really is it. You can say you want this and that, and you think that the accoutrements of life would make you happy, but everything is all really driven by this essential desire for fullness, for wholeness, for the love that we are wanting. So when we understand that, then we can sometimes cut through the chase of a lot of the detours that we take in our life, right? Which is, I'm going to go over here, and I'm going to go over there, and hopefully if I achieve this, and I get that degree, and I get that promotion, and I have that much money put aside, and I finally have, the right person in my life, then I'm going to be happy. But see, that is all one more story out of our childhood. We're trying to get the outer finally right so we can have a happy childhood. Because that's what seemed to be missing for us as a child. That the outer was never quite right, and it caused us to be unhappy. So the corollary to that is get the outside happy, you get the outside right, and then the inside will be happy. Spiritual growth is understanding that that is absolutely not true, and absolutely a prescription for more and more suffering. Yes? Does anyone know this personally from first-hand experience? It's the classical prodigal, just if you give me this and give me that, I'm going to go off and I'm going to make a life that will make me happy. And then eventually, if you're lucky, there's a coming to yourself, and there's a recognition that nothing outside of yourself can make you happy. It is all an inside job. It always has been. I don't know what I'm talking about. Let's go back to my notes. Oh, yes. I want to touch on, let's see, I want to do that. Actually, that was I said that. Let's how much time we got. Oh, we're good. Okay, I'm going to read this from Wayne Muller, who was one of my favorite authors, who we're trying to get to come and talk to us. He wrote, this is his first book, which really, oh man, Legacy of the Heart, The Legacy of the Heart, The Spiritual Advantages of a Painful Childhood. It's a classic. It's really good. If you think your childhood has gotten in the way of your spiritual progress, read this and you'll see it entirely differently. So he says, family pain broke us open and set our hearts on a pilgrimage in search of the love and belonging, safety and abundance, joy and peace that were missing from our childhood story. Seen through this lens, family sorrow is not only a painful wound to be endured, analyzed, and treated, which of course is the psychological approach and absolutely has its place. It may in fact become a seed that gives birth to our spiritual healing and awakening. There's always a seed of possibility, even in the most difficult situations. And the reason that it is because what does not work for us in this outer world of sensory, the sensory life, forces us to go within. And that's where spiritual growth and development takes place. So, how do we begin to experience more of this love in our life? Let's get to the how-to part. Normal reaction to life that's not showing up in a way that is pleasing to us is for us, as the child at the beginning of the story, at the beginning of the life, is to shut down. Well, since that seemed to work for us so well then, we still carry that on. Now, we may not shut down the same way that a baby shuts down, but what we do what we do as well, can't say do in church, I think. What we do, what do you need two do's? One do is enough. What we do is we close our heart. Okay, so we're all laughing at that. We close our heart because for us, this part of us that is vulnerable needs to be protected. And the thinking of the human mortal surface mind is that if I close my heart, then no one can hurt me. Yes? Truth to that. The problem is you've only got one valve for the inlet and the outlet of love. You don't have two. You don't have one to protect you from pain and one to allow you to share from love. It's the same one. I'm not talking about the physical heart. I'm talking about the heart of love, the emotional, spiritual essence of your being and the way you can manage it consciously. So this is wonderful news when you realize that you have this ability to control the very thing that can affect your love experience. And here's the paradox of this. If I want to feel more love in my life, I've got to find a way to open my heart. Now, what it would seem to be is that I will wait until the conditions are right. When I feel things are just safe enough, when everything is going my way, when everyone is showing up in just the perfect way, then I open the valve. I open my heart, and I let this love flow. And then I will feel loved. But it doesn't work that way. Because nobody ever does it right. Or if they do it right, in the next 5 minutes they're not doing it right. They went and said that again, or they did that again. And then you got to close your heart. So it's very painful. It's kind of an angina experience. What really causes your suffering is not what anybody's doing out there, but what? The closing of our heart. That's what causes the pain. If someone does something that you think is hurting you, now I'm not talking about physically, but just saying somebody does something that hurts your feelings, okay? The pain that you and I feel is not what they did that caused the pain in us. This is high-minded. Stay with me. It's they did what they did, and our response to that was to close our heart. And it's that closed heart that causes the pain. Our closed heart, no matter what's going on with theirs. Why is that? Because as the essence of our divine nature, love is. So if we are closing our heart, we're closing ourselves off from what? From love and from our divine nature. And how would that ever feel anything but horrible? Right? So it's paradoxical, it's ironic, and it's contra normal thinking. It's against normal thinking. We have to begin to think in terms of spiritual terms if we are going to heal, if we are going to experience the love that is within us. So we have to become the outlet for the love that is within us. And the only way that we can become the outlet for the love that is within us is to open the heart. So that then becomes the challenge. Now, is this easy? No. Is it the way? Yes. You may not believe it yet. Try it. Try it, try it, try it, try it. If anyone's ever raised a child or even a dog or anything else, and you're wanting them to be a certain way, and you get so frustrated at certain things that they do, and you get so tired of waiting from them to get it right, then you at some point might even do what? Close your heart. Can you believe it? To your own child. And you want them to change so that you can get your heart open again, right? Will you please just do this, don't do that, so that I can open my heart? And the great paradox, and we had this happen several times in our 2 boys that we've raised, is that, you say everything you think you need to say. You lay down the law, you lay down the rules, you try to negotiate, you try to use reasoning, and they're smart, so you're not even smart enough for them. By the time you're like 16, they can already out-argue you, so that doesn't work. And then you get tough, and then you get firm, and then you go, well, that's just the way it is, and that doesn't work. And you run all these things out, and nothing helps. And you're just like at wit's end. And you just think, oh, if they would just change. And then one day, you have an awareness. You have an awakening. And it says, what if you just opened your heart now to the way they are? It doesn't mean that you just, written down, a mandate of acceptance for everything they're doing. It says, what if you could just be with them? Just be with them in an open-hearted way. And invariably, our experience was they changed. Only every time. How could they not? In the presence of someone whose heart is open to you, who is accepting of you as you are, can feel that embracing of yourself, embracing of your being, with all of your warts, with all of your imperfections. That is a fertile environment for what? Awareness, growth, change. But if it's this, how willing, is that a safe place for you to become what they want you to become? So, understanding the dynamics of this, you could cut right to the chase. You don't have to become a manipulator of other people. You don't have to figure people out. You don't have to do it this way, so don't do that. You know, all these games that you and I play in order to get the love we want, to get the love that we so desperately need. We're still trying to make up for that void of love. If we understand that it's already within us in its fullness, yes, in its fullness, nothing missing, then we realize the work is not in it with another person. It's not with us changing them, but it's us working with our own willingness and receptivity to allow love to flow from us, and that happens through an open heart. That doesn't mean, I don't want anyone going out saying, so you do what? You just become like a doormat, whatever anybody does, that's fine and it's cool, you just let them do it. No. No. It's not about how you react to their behavior, it's how you react to their essence, their being, which you know to be the same as yours, love. That got wounded somewhere along the way, right? We want love, but love never comes to a closed heart. Only you can open your heart. Only you. Nobody else. No matter how much they might love you, you control the value. We think if someone or something would change, then we could or would love them. But when we love, we see the change happen before our eyes. Now that's not a reason to do it, but it's a heck of a great benefit. What you get if they don't change is an open heart, which is the experience. It's the fountainhead of love. So let's take a moment as we take this into contemplation, prayer, so we can ground it inside where it will do the most good for us. So we begin with gratitude for the love that we already have. That we were made in the image and likeness of love itself, created after this fullness, this wholeness, this essence of peace that passes human understanding. This is who we are. This is as much more who we are than what is represented by the physical. So we thank you, Spirit, that you are alive and well in us. And we recognize this week that the work is ours to do, that there can be no greater love than has already been given. There can be no greater experience of love than we allow. And so we see our work this week as one of seeking wherever we can open the heart, knowing that we have the wisdom to know how to do that in a way that would be the greatest expansion of love for all concerned. May we know that we are already loved without condition. May we know that we are loved no matter what we are experiencing. And may we take this same love that is given to us unconditionally and begin to become the outlet for it. Begin to look for all the reasons that we can to share it with every being with every situation, with the planet, with everything that would benefit by this beautiful and high vibration of unconditional acceptance and regard for its essence. It is in this way we know that we are healed and that we cannot give what we do not have, and whatever we give will increase in our awareness. Thank you, God, for this beautiful paradox, this beautiful compensation, that in giving love, we shall have more. So be it.
Okay.
Can you hear me? You can. So as we continue in our service and hold that love offering in your hand, that tie, that offering, and I invite you to open up your heart and fill that offering with the love in your heart. And just imagine that as that heart valve opens, the expression of prosperity that goes out into the community raises the consciousness of love and opens other hearts in the community for them to be able to feel the love, to give the love, and to receive the love. So I invite you to hold that offering in your hand. And with me, let's bless that together. Divine love, through me, blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. I am grateful. John, we are grateful.
Yes, we are.
through the darkness, see the light. Remember, God loves you.
Okay, that was an outstanding rendition as well. Thank you, thank you. Thank you, David. Thank you, Gail, for your beautiful meditation today. Thank you, Mom. Thank you, Fran. Thank you all for being here today. We'd like to
Absolutely. And
welcome
we're
our
going,
new folks today.
we are, we're going to welcome anyone who is here for the first time, and this is absolutely a safe place for you to come home to your practical spiritual principles of all faiths that are here, that are represented today. So the love that we share with you, we extend to you. And so if you wouldn't mind, just hold up your hand if you're here for the first time.
Welcome.
Wonderful. And we have a packet for you,
Yes.
orange card if you'd like to complete that. Then we can keep you notified on messages, workshops, all of the events that are happening at Unity Center of Davis. And we do have a CD of today's service. So we invite you to go into Fellowship Hall and just turn that card in and receive a copy of today's service.
And if you're a new person and you'd rather not identify yourself, or if you've been here before and you haven't received that information, we have it on our welcome table. So go in there where we have our fellowship and pick up that information. Just to remind you of the Conscious Contact, Conscious Connection Circle signups, and also next Sunday for our Welcome Design team. We'd love to have as many people as possible in that. So just let us know about that. Of course, we'll be here next week to take on our next value. And anything else?
I think that's it.
Of course, yes. All of us are new people, and all of us here, as you feel our love, it's the way we see you, the way the divine beholds all of us. So let's know this together, with our hearts open, our hands open, and our mouths as well. We love you,
And we bless you, and we appreciate you, and we behold God's love as you.
Welcome to Unity Center Davis. Thank you for being here today. And now we do the peace song, which is a stand and sing and join hands.
Peace that was meant to be with God as Creator, and we all are we. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my joyous vow. To take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me.
And as we leave light of God
surrounds us. I am that light.
and
The love of God enfolds us. I am that love. And the power of God protects us. I am that power.
and the presence of God
watches over us.